Rolling. Yes, we're rolling.
We've been rolling for ages. You just told
We're
us
rolling
that.
now.
Anyway, like I said,
You got some funky energy today.
I'm a YouTube partner, yeah? So that means now I get paid for this shit, yeah?
Do you?
When this goes
Do
on
I get paid?
No.
Why not?
Well, I could give you half of the royalties from the videos.
How much are you going to get?
So I think I've been a YouTube partner now for 3 weeks. And so far it's on £5.60, I think.
Oh, so I get
$5.60. So
for every video.
It's about £3, isn't it?
What do you get for a video?
Well, it depends how good the video is, isn't it? And how many views it was
It's a good one,
getting.
yeah?
Well, that's what I'm trying to tell you.
Okay, well, I might.
You're leading.
I might have to redesign the session then. How are you, mate? We're looking all sunned up, aren't we?
Yeah. You haven't died from the sun yet, then?
No. I'm genetically predisposed to take sun better than you are.
Racist, which I hate. No, do you not really pick the first day that it was hot? I see on Twitter that Good Morning Britain were not running with the story like it's going to be hot, get out and enjoy it. It's been a long winter. They were running with pressure on the NHS, go steady, heat's going to rise. This is a fucking warning. And I was thinking, what am I going to do when I go to Egypt in October and I don't get a warning every day about how hot it's going to be? Will I survive, Has?
I think you're going to die.
I think I might.
Yeah.
I think I might.
Yeah. That would be good for the world, wouldn't it? Now, we'd mourn you for a bit, and then we'd get some other fake guru. You'd be replaced very quickly. No, you're irreplaceable, mate.
Thanks, mate.
How you enjoying the week so far?
I'm very I'm in good spirits, man. I'm in good spirits, yeah.
Yeah, why is that?
Is this the check-in? Are we going? Is this straight in?
Have I announced it as the emotional check-in, Josh? It's coming.
Well, okay. Well, this.
Josh, it's the emotional check-in.
So, basically, I'm working on this like massive project that I can't talk about. That I fucking hate being one of those people.
But you did it anyway.
But well, because what else can I do? Like, I've had to clear my diary, so I'm doing lots of like working at home, and like it's really because I'm not very good at focusing. I've had to really like hone in and focus on what I'm doing. And this weekend, I took management of Royal Wootton Bassett under-8 girls team for the first time.
Oh, did you?
Mate, yeah.
Are you like an assistant coach or
I'm
something
the fucking manager, mate.
You were for this week.
I'm the manager.
Oh, you're the manager now?
Yeah. I turned down the adults job for the men's team and then took the under-8 girls team. So we'll be under-9s next season.
Oh, brilliant.
Mate, the fire is lit for me and women's football, mate, and girls football. So we played this boys team, yeah? So often girls teams, because there's not quite enough girls teams about yet, the girls will often play boys teams, and if they do, they tend to play a year down.
Okay.
But our group is mixed ages because there's so little amount of girls that are playing.
Yeah.
And this team that we were playing, like the two managers that stood next to me, they were good men, yeah, they were good guys, but they were almost like every time one of the girls did something good, they wouldn't celebrate it in the same way that they would celebrate it when a boy did it.
Okay.
It would be like with surprise, like, whoa, oh, wow, number 7. And it was almost patronising.
Not almost, it was.
It was, yeah. They didn't know what they were doing, right? They weren't being actively, so yeah, it's going to be a few fights this season, I think.
And what's the intention to win the league?
No, you don't. No,
No league. It's just fun.
No leagues.
Fun
Yeah,
leagues,
you
isn't
don't
it?
have leagues till under 12s, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So what is it? Just round robin?
Yeah, you're in a league, but there's no point system. There's no top and the bottom. It's not about winning and losing.
Are you managing your daughter?
Yeah.
Preferential treatment?
No, mate. In fact, because
Would you ever drop?
I'm a
your
chronic
daughter?
people pleaser, aren't I? So I probably am worried about upsetting everyone. So she's probably going to have it harder, if anything. No, it's round. You sub them off all the time. It's not. It's who hasn't had a chance up front. It's not about. It's not remotely about winning. Yeah. At the moment, as much as the parents would like it to be.
So emotional check-in. I wanted to sort of bring it a different, bring a different approach to it. So I wanted to ask you what you've been reflective about.
Yeah.
During the last 2 weeks since we saw each other in this setting. Well, not quite in this setting. It was a different place, wasn't it?
Yeah.
We're glad to be home, aren't we?
Yeah. I mean, no disrespect to the other place, but it was shit. I'm joking. It was all right. Just they might
Okay,
watch.
we might need to use them again.
might-
yeah,
yeah.
So yeah, what have you been reflective about over the last couple of weeks?
I have it's weird actually. Since probably the 11 years sobriety, which was like nearly a month ago now, I've been mega. I think this year is like with the things that have happened. I've had some really like big things happen, that have just really making me reflect on where I am in my life and where I've come from. Like I come from. We know I don't want to keep going over where I come from, but I'm like so grateful. I feel a lot of gratitude. That's probably what I'm trying to get at here. Like for probably the first time in my life, I actually feel grateful. I've done a lot of like I'm going to call it like, I don't want to call it toxic gratitude. What can I call it? Like fake gratitude, you know, like where you write down all the things that you're grateful for and then it ends up looking like a guilt list because you just look at it and think, I'm not stupid. I know the things I should be grateful for. Now I've written them down and they're all in front of me and I still feel shit. So I just feel guilty. I actually genuinely feel like a lot of gratitude for where I am in my life and what I'm able to do in my life today.
Yeah. Brings me nicely on to the second question, I think, which is, given what you've been having to do and zoning in on this big project and reflecting on kind of what you're grateful for, what is something that surprised you about yourself in the last couple of weeks?
I was thinking about this, right? Because the obvious answer is like, surprised what I could achieve. But I've always sort of thought to myself that even when I was younger, I always believed that there was something in me. Do you know what I mean? Like a part of me that I hadn't tapped into. And so like, I don't want to go down that route of saying that's what's majorly surprised me. I think what surprised me is how much I've been able to really start to show who I truly am, more on a public level.
How so in the last couple of weeks?
So I've got this stuff called Lion's Mane. It's mushroom. It's a mushroom drink, right? It's supposed to make you make you concentrate. And I did a post that was like mocking myself because I'd had it, and then 2 hours later, all my trauma hadn't completely disappeared. So I did a post on social media that was just a complete joke one, really. Which is quite. I do a bit of that. I do quite a lot of that in the stories on there.
Yeah.
But to actively do a post where I was just like, because you know me, this is what I'm like in real life. Really, is just a bit jokey and always taking the piss and having fun, right? And I've been trying to lean into that as much as I can, and we do it on the podcast, but not. It doesn't always convert into my socials. So I did that. Yeah, obviously, I got battered by some people for it.
Did you?
Yeah.
What happened? Like, what did they say?
Well, some people are like, one person messaged me and like, I'm really surprised you could mock a whole community like that with the work that you do. I'm not mocking. I'm mocking
the mushroom
my
drinking
fucking
community?
self, man.
Who's the community?
No, because I said something like, I've drank my mushroom tea. It's not healed all of my trauma. So tomorrow I'm gonna do it in the ice bath, and then when I get out of the ice bath, I'm gonna go to Bali for a year and meditate in the mountains with a goat in silence or something like that. Right? So I was like, in some ways I was kind of making a point that like, sometimes it is easy to look out there and think that that's what the crack is.
Yeah.
So there was like a point behind it, which is why I posted it.
Yeah.
But yeah, one person was like, if you understood spirituality, you wouldn't mock a whole group of people. And I was like, if you understood spirituality, you would understand that being able to laugh at yourself is a sure sign that you've had a bit of an awakening.
Wow.
What about you, mate?
To be honest, I think it will come onto like our conversation later, but I think what I've been reflective about over the last couple of weeks is how I use my time. But in an enlightened way, like I sort of realized that maybe I've been spending it on the wrong things.
Yeah.
In pursuit of of kind of build something or create something, right? Like, and I think what I've been reflecting on is something that we talk about in our coaching, which is taken from something called the Landmark Forum, which is another sort of coaching model or framework, which is the idea of the difference between your identity and your intuition. What happens is very early on we start to build our identity. So our identity, one of the reasons we started doing this podcast is because we'd created this identity of being professionals out in the world, and leaning into your intuition is really more what you need to listen to, because that really gives a stronger reflection of what you really need.
Yeah.
And I think it's a dance. Like sometimes the identity is what you need to play out. So for me, I think I've probably indexed more on identity. Like I have to be the boss. I have to be the right sort of, I have to project like I'm the right dad or the family man. I have to be the right, person that gives advice. And actually, I just need to be more intuitive about how I want to spend my time. So that's that. And the thing that's really surprised me is, again, I we'll come on to this a bit later, but I think I've lived my life thinking I really know myself. And what I need and I don't need to be successful. And what's really surprised me is discovering the things I didn't know I needed.
Yeah.
Or I had, and that's been enlightening for me. And just so it's not like mysterious, and we'll come on to it later, it's around rest. I just thought I just never needed rest.
Yeah.
Not like proper rest.
Yeah.
And that was like really surprising.
That's the thing about self-awareness is the best way to know if you're on the right track when it comes to self-awareness is if you have an understanding that you don't know anything about yourself.
Yeah.
Like, I know that sounds like a contradiction,
Yeah.
but people think self-awareness is I know myself really well. It's not. Self-awareness is I don't really know much about myself, and I'm open to noticing.
That's the thing, isn't it? It's open. It's being open. It's opening yourself up, but going hand in hand with the fact that you actually don't know.
Yeah, because the likelihood is the minute that you think you know yourself, it means you've actually closed off to a massive part of yourself.
Yeah,
I
think that's how I've lived my life, and I think there's a value to it in a way because, you just like you can protect yourself from that you don't know.
And true self-awareness is a bitch, right? No, when you're fully awake and you are like, shit, man, I don't know, and then you start noticing all this stuff about yourself. I mean, you'd much rather go back to sleep and just like live like most people live, which is completely unaware of themselves at all. Which is, like what's the saying? Naivety. I was going to say favors the brave. That's not right, is it? I think I've mixed two.
Two metaphors.
But you understand what I'm saying, yeah?
I thought it's fortune favours the brave.
That is definitely, yeah.
So what's the naivety one? I don't know what that one is.
But you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I often say we often joke in the community that I run that what we would give to go back to just being blissfully naive of who we are.
I've definitely. Do you remember when we were talking with Ed and he was like, if you had a time machine, he'd go back and de-invent like phones and social media and that sort of technology, like we can't unsee what we know now. So I would love to go back to that sort of simple way of life.
Yeah, same, man.
Thanks for that.
Yeah, good.
I'm bringing back, for a bit of fun, Would You Rather.
Yeah, I'm excited about this.
Now, just for all the listeners, like, as you can probably tell, Josh and I plan our podcast episodes, and we tend to share what's coming up. But I haven't shared any of these questions with you. So the answers you give you're hearing them for the first time.
Do you want quick fire?
Quick fire, yeah. Right. We'll do about 4 or 5.
All right. Yeah.
So let me get them. So, and I've got about 25 here, so I'm going to pick the best ones. I'll start with an easy one. Would you? And then give us, for some of them, like the answer is enough.
I'll give context.
For some, we might need context. So would you rather have the ability to see 10 minutes into the future or 150 years into the future?
What, 150 years, yeah. Well, 10 minutes is pointless, isn't it? I'll be fucking still sat here with you talking about podcast stuff.
But imagine if you, at 7:22, could see the national lottery numbers at 7:32.
Yeah, don't need to. My life's amazing as it is, mate.
And in 150 years' time.
Yeah. What are you saying? Do I get to see it regularly?
Just the once.
Just once? Yeah. Well, what? If I can pick it, if I can see 10 minutes ahead on Saturday, 10 minutes before the lottery.
Just stolen mine. You said 150 years.
All right, I'll go 150 years, mate. I'd rather go there. Yeah.
What would you think you'd see in 150 years' time from now?
Fucking hell, man. Not much will have changed, but they'll live underwater. And your granddaughter is pretty fine.
That's very good. Was it Busted or McFly?
I think it's busted.
That's very good, mate. You pulled that out of the depths.
Thank you, mate. That's the year 3000, isn't it?
Yeah, very good. Would you rather?
Fucking answer.
Would you? I'm just gonna go for some of this.
Yeah.
Quite fun. Would you rather be forced to sing along or dance to every single song you hear?
Oh, that's hard, man. It's only hard because I've got to give one up. Dance. I'll have to go with dance so I can move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You love singing though.
I know, man. I know.
Okay.
That's a really hard one because I'd want to do both.
Would you rather have everyone you know be able to read your thoughts, or everyone you know have access to your internet history?
Internet history all day long.
Yeah.
All day long. You can have a look at that. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, the thoughts.
The thoughts, no way.
I'm the same, man.
So, actually, just quickly, there's a documentary, I think it was on Netflix. I can't remember what it was on, but it was about thought crimes. So there was these two, I'm going to get this really bad, right? But just to get, like, try and give you an overview of what happened. There was these two people, they met on a really weird, like, internet site, and what they were into was killing people and eating them.
Oh.
Right?
Right.
And so they ended up meeting up, and they planned
Right.
to kill someone and eat them.
They didn't do it.
But never actually did it.
Yeah.
And never went through with it. And then they were like caught, and all their internet history was done. And it was a bit like, but they haven't actually done anything.
Yeah.
They
But
just
the
they
intent
thought
there.
about doing it. And they were like saying, well, we were never going to do it. It was all just a big like kink thing.
Yeah. Musk is developing some crazy software to read people's minds.
Is he?
Well, I mean, it may be very far off, but yeah.
Yeah, man. I think we'd all be in jail if we could have our minds read.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible.
100%, yeah.
You could never hide your judgment on the tube anymore, could you?
No. So read my internet history. I delete it most of the time when I need to anyway.
every 24 hours. Would you rather be in jail for 5 years or in a coma for a decade?
Jail for 5.
It's just less time, is it?
Easy. No. You can progress in jail, innit? I can learn, read books.
You'd like
stack
You'd go
press
up
ups every day.
You'd be like,
I'd come out fucking hench and just full of
You know
wisdom.
what I do?
I'd come out hench and full of wisdom, much like I'm perceived already.
yeah, you look like that now. You know, I'd do like what he does in the Shawshank Redemption. Get a tiny little axe and just burrow my way out.
Yeah.
It's the most ridiculous story.
Jail used to really appeal to me, man. When life was really hard for me, I used to think if I got arrested and went to jail, that'd be happy days.
Square meals a day.
3 meals a day.
Community.
Yeah, I think a lot of people in jail that keep going back there are there because that's
Identity.
yes, and it suits them better. Can't do more. These.
Would
are
you rather be 11 feet tall or 9 inches tall?
What 9 inches is really short, yeah.
Yeah.
How big's 9 inches? What's the matter, mate? How big's 9 inches?
It's big.
Is it like?
It's small. It's like
But I couldn't hide in places and not be seen.
if you were 9 inches.
Could I? Could I like sneak into like?
What, changing rooms?
Football stadiums and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But you
alright,
might get trodden on.
9 inches.
Yeah, I think I'm the same. There used to be a TV show called Land of the Giants,
Right.
where basically that was the concept. They were like little
Yeah.
people.
You'd have a bad back if you were 11.
You'd be,
foot.
yeah, just people would laugh at you, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Okay, it's gonna get a bit tasty now. So this question was actually, would you rather and ... on your hero, right? I've actually put one of your heroes in just to really bring it out.
Oh, okay.
Would you rather vomit on Gabor Mate or have Gabor Mate vomit on you?
Either or, it would happen at a ceremony.
dinner party.
It would happen at a
At your dinner
ceremony
party, right?
where we're like doing
Ayahuasca.
yeah, and we're purging.
Okay.
So yeah, I'd be bang up for that.
Would you?
But his sick.
Would be. What?
Yeah, I think I'd rather be sick on him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
I
don't-
can imagine he eats like fermented stuff a lot.
Kimchi.
Yeah, something like that.
You like
Or
kimchi?
Sauerkraut.
I love sauerkraut.
Do you?
I love fermented stuff. I wouldn't eat a fermented egg though. I draw the line there.
Yeah.
Would you rather walk barefoot in a public toilet or get horrific food poisoning?
Yeah, no, barefoot in a public toilet. You do it at festivals all the time, don't you?
Walk barefoot in the toilets?
Yeah.
No, you don't.
Yes, you do. You're not a proper festival goer, are you?
Why would you? Why would you walk barefoot in the toilet?
Because at a festival, you know, you're a free spirit. I'm free. I'm like,
You still got your
I'm
shoes
just
on.
with my. No, I haven't. I'm with my people. You know, I'm grounding. Because I'm like no shoes and socks on, so I'm like connected to the earth.
I thought you were going to say the other one after how you reacted a few sessions ago around public toilets. I thought you would have really.
Feet's different though, isn't it?
Is it
Yeah. Feet's different to hands, isn't it?
a thicker sole,
Yeah.
but still?
My feet ain't in very good nick either, mate.
Yeah, the floor would be like, ugh, get off me. Would you rather only have Boris Johnson or Donald Trump as your best friend for life?
I think you've asked me this one before.
Times have changed.
Yeah, probably the American one. I can't remember his name. What's
Trump.
it? Yeah, Trump.
I think I'd pick Trump as well.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'd just
Oh,
throw
it's tough,
caution to
man.
the wind and just become a like horrible bigot with him.
Horrible bigot.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Should we do one
Not that
more?
far
How
off.
many of these are you doing, mate?
No, that's it. One more. I've done all the good ones.
Boris Johnson's a prick, by the way, just while we're touching on him. Sorry.
Would you rather give up air conditioning and heating for the rest of your life or give up the internet for the rest of your life?
The internet.
Easy, isn't it?
Easy. Yeah, yeah, no, yeah, I would. If like I had to pick one, I'd just give up. Yeah. Does everyone have to do it, or just me?
No, just you.
It'd be hard for business, wouldn't it, for work?
Yeah.
But I just
your business would
Debs
die.
has allowed it.
Huh?
Debs has allowed the internet.
Yeah, you're getting very practical.
What?
But yes, yeah.
Yeah.
good,
So yeah, no, the internet definitely. So I didn't have to have it.
Yeah, you know what's really funny? I went to see Richard Branson talk. This was a good few years ago now, but still, like we were well into the age of the internet and email, and he was like, "Yeah, I don't use email. Don't know how to use email."
Yeah.
So you get so big that you just have other people do.
Yeah,
that.
exactly. Yeah. He can't write or something either, can he?
He's dyslexic. That doesn't mean he can't write, but yeah, he's dyslexic. You should know that, Josh.
Just quickly, did you see the Apple event this week?
I didn't pay that much attention to it.
They're
Are you
releasing
gonna
the
jump in?
goggles. Yeah, the goggles.
The goggles.
Have you seen them?
The VR.
Fucking, they look good, man.
What's interesting is for Apple is they have gone for an early adopter market, which they never do. So because you're going to have to be a certain kind of person to be able to buy that for $3,000. But what's funny is I imagine people will find the money even when they don't have it because it's an Apple product.
Yeah,
So I think it was a bit shaky to do that.
Yeah, I watched a review. I love gadgets. I watched a review of it, man, and I thought I might buy them.
I think I'll buy them too.
What they can do is amazing. Anyway, that's for another show, mate.
Well, you can do that on your week if you want.
I might
Don't
do, mate.
hijack mine though. So, I want to talk about. It's called treble performance.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a shit name actually when we talk about.
Well,
what
you
it
are
is.
shit at names now. You used to be good at them. You've
I'm
changed.
brilliant at names. At least I bother. You don't even bother.
Yeah.
So, what do you think treble performance is about?
My toes on my left foot.
See, you're being insincere now because you know what it's about.
Yeah, it's about Man City winning the treble.
Yeah. So, City are the first English club since Manchester United in 98-99 season to win the coveted treble of the league, the FA Cup, and Champions League.
Yeah.
And it pains me to acknowledge how good that is because I hate them.
Yeah.
But it's some serious feat, considering also that they were behind in the league and basically,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't think Arsenal lost it. I think they won it. Does that make sense?
It does make sense, but I mean, I don't think it's anywhere near as good as what United did. Just I know that's not what
There was a better
the
team.
topic of the
Yeah,
subject.
yeah,
But the Champions League was probably the worst Champions League it's been for a very long time.
yeah,
The easiest to win,
yeah.
as was the Premier League. The fact that they were chasing down a pretty
Arsenal.
average
Yeah,
Arsenal
yeah,
outfit,
yeah.
like
But that's quite interesting because actually, I don't think it isn't about that. Yeah.
No,
So
no,
the topic really is all our non-football fans can breathe a sigh of relief because it's not going to be about football. It's about what do you learn from that kind of pursuit,
yeah,
right? So maybe it was an easy Champions League to win and also an easier league to win, but to keep showing up on all fronts
yeah,
and having to keep winning and sustain that mentality and to come from behind and then to overtake. And then once you're in front, to keep that really, it requires an incredible level of kind of concentration and focus, right? So what sort of mindset does it take, do you think, to do something that focused?
arguably, an unhealthy, obsessive mindset. One might say,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'd say so.
Do you know what I mean? The fact that they're getting paid for it and can make a living from it is the only thing that perhaps stops it being unhealthy. What some might consider unhealthy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's their job, so they can do it, right? But all of them players in that team have to just be completely obsessed with their craft, don't
Yeah.
they? Completely obsessed
Yeah.
with it.
I was reading about John Stones, who he's like a defender who kind of fell out of favour, and he had to work his way back in. And the way he did that was just by becoming absolutely obsessed with every single detail.
Yeah.
But it isn't just about how they're performing; it's about the conditions around their performance as well. What they eat when they're training, what they eat when they're at home, and that sort of stuff. So it is about obsession, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Is there any good? Is there goodness that comes from it?
But this is the thing, isn't it? Like, this is where the line of addiction and obsessive behavior, like, where is it? Do you know what I mean? Like, where is it healthy? Where is it unhealthy? Do you know what I mean? Because there's, even when we look at, like, on a much smaller scale, if I look at, like, what I've achieved and what you've achieved in what you do, man, there has to be a level of being obsessive about it and cutting corners in other aspects of your life. Like, there's no two ways about it. Do you know what I mean? So in some ways you have to just, I think you have to have, I don't know, that winning mentality, that desire to win. I know it from playing sports myself, yeah. I played with the best players I played with, because I never played professionally. The best players I played with weren't that interested in football and didn't have a winning mentality, because if they did, they would have been professional.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I even the level that I played at, I had don't lose, win at all costs mentality. That's the only reason I played at the level that I did, because I wasn't that good really in any other aspect.
So, I think it's an interesting place to talk about sort of addictive obsession and focused obsession, because a lot of people would say, now the ones who want it and are pursuing something, that's like healthy, but actually, I think what you talk about there is there's no net like neutral going on here. There's always a cost.
Yeah.
So you're in order to do that, and you said we ourselves professionally have probably done it. Stuff has to get sacrificed. So what do you think gets sacrificed?
Of family, quality of family life. I know they've got all the riches in the world to try and counter it, but I guarantee you that there's, that like, you listen to Eddie Hearn, Eddie Hearn, the boxing guy.
Promoter,
He's got a book. His book's called Relentless. And if you listen to him interviewed, he talks about it. He says, sometimes I take stock and look, and I think I'm losing a lot of time with my family. In fact, slightly off topic, did you see the guy off Gavin and Stacey? What's his name? The blonde one, the one,
Don't do that. I know you mean.
the chubbier one.
What's his name? Yeah,
Yeah, Corden.
Corden. Yeah.
Yeah, he quit the. It's not Corden, is it? Corden.
No, it's Corden.
He quit the whatever show he was doing in America. Have you seen the interview he done? And he was like, everybody in my family had to sing to my tune all of my life. He was like, I'd be like, right, we've got to go down to here and we've got to fly over to here because I'm doing this thing. And he was like, my family just followed in my footsteps. And he said, I turned down and, you know, let go of a hell of a lot of, like, a mouth-watering sum of money to stop doing it. And he was like, but I couldn't let my kid's life go by. And he's like, and I couldn't. He talked about his dad going to live near his dad and his dad being able to ring him and saying, do you fancy coming for a coffee tomorrow? And him being able to say, yeah. He was like, I just couldn't turn my back on that anymore. So the cost, I think, is to the family normally.
What's really interesting, and I'm not going to say just because he's rich, it's easier to do, but when you've kind of got that level of abundance, you can make those calls. And I think when you're trying to make something or build something, so there's a spectrum of like the James Cordens of the world.
Yeah.
And then people like that are just trying to make something of themselves. At what point do you go, okay, I can, you know, make those calls? It's very hard to do, right?
Yeah.
To pull yourself away from.
Yeah, and for the average person on the street to try and see what you can take from Jack Grealish, who's on 250 bags a week, it's very difficult, man.
He's quite relatable though, isn't he?
He's great, man.
Yeah.
Have you seen him? He's been partying his face off, and it's like,
Yeah.
I love it, man. Because he feels very
He's real.
He feels very real, yeah, and reachable, yeah.
Yeah. Good. I mean, what we sort of covered everything here that I wanted to talk about, but one thing though is like when you are trying to do stuff, and let's make this less about the football team and more about just us as human beings, right? When you're trying to achieve something and it's hard and you've just got to keep showing up, and the circumstances or the environment around you are kind of playing against you, or they're going to throw obstacles in your way. How do you deal with like doubts and setbacks?
Yeah. I think it's, you know, Jim Carrey, the comedian.
Yeah.
It does some like sort of spiritual chat. He's got some really good like talks if you look him up on YouTube. And I always quote what he said once. He said his dad was a comedian, but his dad had a way of making everybody laugh. And he said, and his dad decided it was too much of a risk to try and be a comedian, and he became an accountant. And then as an accountant, he lost his job or something like that. And then they ended up falling into financial problems. And he said, my dad taught me that you can fail at doing something that you don't want. So you may as well take a chance on doing something that you love. And I think, like, as that might not necessarily play out in people's lives fully in the world that we live in, I do think there's some truth in that. Like when I look at what I've done, I took massive risks because I thought I need to do something that fulfills me. I have to chase that, because to not do so would leave me dead in another way, man. If not fully dead in my case.
I mean, I think we would both advocate for doing that. And in a way, both of us had reasons we shouldn't be successful.
Yeah.
So I do advocate for that. And for some people, it's really hard to make that transition.
Yeah, man, yeah.
The fear of the change is worse than the change itself.
Yeah, yeah. And the ability to do so. There's loads of things you have to take into context, yeah? Like, I say this with no arrogance. I had a certain something about me that there was a knowing that if I chased it, I could really make this happen, yeah? There's things like luck that you need to take into account and all that sort of stuff. Not everybody has all of these things. I had a family at home, you know, my wife who could, you know, she had, and I've got family that if things went really, really, I'm not going to end up on the streets, right? And there's all that sort of, not everybody has all of that. So there's loads of different variables. And I guess to bring it to the question on what can we take out of it as well, support systems, isn't it? The finances that football players have allows them a massive support system around them. So then maybe that's one of the big things that you need to find is a support system.
Yeah, I mean, they will have had loads of stuff around, personal conditioning, physical conditioning, but also mental stuff as well, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So how does like Joe Blogs on the street get that?
A community, man. I think we don't talk enough about community and the ability to build a safe and supportive system around yourself. You have to actively do that. I think once upon a time they existed more and you sort of found yourself within a community. But I think today, more than ever in today's world, you have to actively build a community around you. You have to actively go, who have I got in my life that can make me feel supported if I do this? Do you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I don't think we should undervalue how important that can be to feel like there's going to be somebody who will catch you if you fall.
That's huge, man, because I do think that sense of community is it's different now than it used to be even before our time.
Yeah.
And then if you throw in like that anomaly of COVID and lockdowns, and I think there's been a lot of stuff that's been hard to repair.
Yeah.
Just basically separating friends and family communities, and we just formed different behaviors and habits. And I know from my mum's experience, for example, she had a really thriving community, lots of different like pockets of friends, and then lockdown really shut that down for her as an older person.
Yeah.
And it's been very difficult for her to recreate that because people kind of moved on with their own lives. So
Yeah.
she's really now really trying hard to build kind of new communities. So it's really important.
It's almost like those in power used COVID to further isolate and remove power from people, isn't it?
Yeah, it's almost as if that was planned.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Imagine they made like 50 billion in fraud over that time as well. I mean, like if that was happened, there'd be riots, wouldn't
But no one's going to write about that, are they?
there? No,
Except,
because we made them illegal. We've made protest illegal.
yeah. Who's fighting the fight, though?
The what fight?
Carol.
Carol. Oh yeah.
We love Carol Vorderman, don't we?
I couldn't think of anyone better to be doing it
Yeah.
than Carol Vorderman. For the context of people listening, she's really flying the flag for what the government did. And let me just reiterate, by the way, because people get a bit upset with me the way I talk about COVID. I'm not a conspiracy theorist who said that COVID wasn't real. I believe it happened, but what I also believe and know, actually, because it's factually true, is that the government used it to line and lace their pockets with fraud.
Yeah, I won't disagree.
That's it. He's going to move on quickly. We don't talk about COVID.
No, I do. I just do it on your
Hurry
time.
up, otherwise I'll start
Do it on
talking
your
about
time.
WWF.
Main event is how to listen. So the context is this for this next part of the conversation. You've been telling me for a long time, I just need to book a holiday, get time off.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, yeah, I'll get there, and just kind of brushing you off. The truth is, I didn't think I really needed one. I thought that the odd sort of staycation where I was probably doing a bit of work or a few days off here and there, either side of bank holidays, was enough for me. And I know myself, thank you very much. So I just get on with it, right? I thought I'm too busy. Holidays will come, whatever. Like part of me is a bit like, doing what we were talking about with James Corden. Just let me just get to that point where I can, where I can, but that perfect day never comes because I'm not wired like that, right? And then we finally did. We took, I took half term off, and I fully, for the first time in years, I fully unplugged. The only times I chatted to, my work crew, it was social.
Yeah.
And I didn't really speak to them much. So there was no work, and I wasn't doing any work. I did check email from time to time, but that's more because I was feeding an addiction of mine rather than.
Well, also you run a business, right? So it helps give you peace of mind.
But it
Let
was
me just
fine.
check that the thing's not burning down.
Yeah, and I wasn't going in, but I really felt rested.
Yeah.
Proper rest. And it wasn't just not working, it was rest. I felt it in my bones. And so that was what, I was alluring to earlier, which was around really reflecting at how much I actually needed that and need it. But it got me sort of thinking, really, I've sort of set myself up so that I don't really take people's advice, even though I know there's my best interests at heart. And I think when you had kept saying to me, just book a holiday, man, just book a holiday.
Yeah.
it wasn't flippantly like just go and spend. I know it wasn't about the money. It was like you need some rest, Hass.
Yeah.
And I tuned you out. Like I'm not going to listen to you.
Yeah.
So I've got a few questions around this. Yeah. So the first one is what is it that you observe about me, my character, that shuts down my listening when people are trying to do good for me?
I think it's the same with everybody, by the way, or most people at least. There's parts of yourself that make you feel uncomfortable that you're not yet willing to explore why they exist. So we all have more than one part of ourselves, right? So it's having the ability to be able to look at those. Whichever part of you is running the show wanted to keep running the show. They felt like it was the right thing to do, because if we don't, then something might happen. Now, I don't know what that fear is and what it was that you were protecting yourself from, but you were clearly protecting yourself from something. That's why that part of you continued to do it. Because for context, in the end, I sort of almost bluntly called it out, didn't I? You said, yeah, we're going to go away at the end of May. We're gonna go away abroad. We're gonna book somewhere. Well, we might not get away, but I'm definitely gonna have some time off. And I was like, what? I was like, Hass, what? I said to you, no, what fucking weird thing have you got going on about not going on holiday? And you were like, what? No, there's nothing weird. And I was like, it'll take you 2 minutes to book a holiday. You sit down and you could book it tonight. Like, what is at the time? End of May is 2 weeks away.
Yeah.
I was like, you got time to book it, mate. Like, what? And then you could tell that you came up with a couple of excuses, and then you went and did it, right? So yeah, look, I think what happens is we all like it. We all do it all of the time in different ways. There's a part of us that starts running the show, and it's worried if it lets the reins over to any other part of ourselves.
Yeah.
Then something will happen.
Yeah. I think that is wholly true, that there was a part of me that didn't want to deal with what comes with rest.
Yeah. Yeah.
If I keep going and keep going and keep going, I don't need to think about other stuff, and I'm just gonna.
Which, by the way, is addiction.
Yeah.
Because I drank and drank and drank. Because if I stopped, then I'd have to deal with what comes with if I rest.
And sort of coming full circle to this pursuit thing of winning the treble, I'm telling myself and projecting to others that it's noble.
Yeah. Which is what we do, right? So if you like, people talk about shadow work a lot, right? And I think there's like a not much understanding of what we're talking about. When I talk about shadow work, yeah, it's about an understanding of all of these different parts of ourselves, and the parts of ourselves that we are afraid of, the lengths that we will go to trick and deceive ourselves that they exist, right, is incredible. And that's what you were talking about at the beginning, which was, I thought I knew myself. Deep down, you did know that there was all these other parts, but you had to keep up the act of what you was doing to ensure those other parts didn't take over too strongly because of fear of what would happen.
Yeah. And just to make a point, this isn't about me having a holiday, right? What I think I'm pointing to is when we have these really noisy parts or part that is kind of the overriding factor, we tune out to people, right?
Yeah.
Trying to help, or we just think that, like, I don't want to go where that person wants to take me.
Yeah.
You either might explicitly know it, or it's just inherently kind of wired in. Why do we resist it? I mean, I know you sort of answered it, but like, what do you think people are afraid of?
Themselves. People are afraid of themselves. So if you imagine that you have like your child part, right, which I'll call like your most authentic self. Take the child version of who you are, right? Childlike, full of wonder and curiosity, and wants to explore the world, complete innocence, yeah? And then over your life, what you've done is develop different versions of yourself to keep that part safe. So when that part of you got hurt for the first time emotionally, a part of you came around, and it might have been a part that took control of things, yeah? So it learned to take control of things. And when I make sure that I'm in control of everything, then I protect that little part of myself. And then that part failed at another part of your life. So maybe you created a part of yourselves that was really funny and made everybody laugh. And when you did that, it was another version of protect yourself. But what happens is you build these layers. What these become is layers and layers and layers and layers and layers that ultimately in the end keep that young, childlike, innocent, curious part of yourself behind all of these layers and completely incapable of experiencing the world.
Yeah.
So what we're always doing, every part of ourselves, including all of the parts that we think are bad, the inner critic, yeah? Everybody says, shut it up, don't listen to it, it's a bad voice. It's none of those things. It's a part of you that's terrified that if it didn't exist, that young, fresh, innocent part of you would get exposed in a way that it can't handle. Now, they're all misinformed in that way. And so the work that I think people really need to do is to learn to compassionately love and interact with those parts, so that then you can begin to be able to be more in unison with all of them,
Yeah.
and understand why they exist.
Yeah. I mean, just to think about, like, I was it was resonant what you were saying. Like, I was like, yeah, I'm that person, the one who kind of had to show up and be in control.
Yeah.
I'm the one who tried to be funny, and kind of that became the thing. And then those layers are just layered upon each other.
Yeah.
And in when I'm not resting, they're just always there.
Yeah.
So like, I can't like get to that innocent child just by just taking a day out.
Yeah.
It will never come.
Yeah. Yeah.
It
Yeah.
takes too much to unpack. But what's really interesting is normally I was always, because I probably put so much of that on and I run straight into a holiday. Let's say if I took 2 weeks off, it would take me 3 days to properly decompress.
Yeah.
And then I'll be good for a bit. And then I'd start thinking about coming home again. What's really interesting is that I'd almost contracted differently with myself going into this holiday. So the minute I kind of I'd done all the prep I needed to do. The minute I needed to get to that moment where I was in a different zone, I was ready.
Yeah.
And it's really funny how you talk about finding that innocent child, because that's what I think really came out was like the way I was with the kids, or, jumping in the pool at nighttime and playing games with them and that sort of stuff. That was, I'm not saying I wouldn't do that, but I was way more present to it. And I was enjoying it. I was not just enjoying them enjoying it. I was enjoying it for myself.
Yeah. Because there's basically what you've done is you made those parts feel safe. So if I bring it back to the question that you raised a minute ago, which is like, why do we get defensive? Why do we not listen? It's because often what people do, if you imagine that you had that childlike part of yourself, right? And then you put all of the parts of yourself, you stood them in a line in front of that childlike part of yourself. So the controlling part of you, the critic, the part of you that makes everybody laugh, and you had a row of 8 people in front of that child behind it, yeah? And then somebody walked up to that row of people and went, let me snatch that bit out. Let me go and get that little child from behind you all and show it that life can be really fun. What's those 8 things going to do? Are they going to cower and go, okay, yeah, you can do that? Or are they all going to get bigger? Is the inner critic going to get louder? The controlling part is going to try and control even more. And we go through our life and people come and they try and rip that inner child out and bring it straight into where they want it to be. And all of these other bits get louder. Something happened for you where you were able to almost metaphorically take those 8 parts and go, listen, work's going to be sorted. We're going to do this. We're going to be in control. It's fine. Like, I'm not an innocent child anymore, right? I'm an adult. I've got all of these things at my disposal. If you'll work with me, all of you, yeah, we can go and really enjoy this holiday, and we'll come back and I'll make sure that all of you, yeah, compassionately get your needs met, and you get your fears, like you feel safe in them.
What came to mind there was like when your body gets shocked, like cold water shock or something, it thinks you're being attacked, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So all this stuff kind of heightens up, and actually that's what happens a lot of the time. But then when it realizes you're not going to die, or you're not in danger, things cessate. But sometimes you have to take control.
Yeah, exactly. And you have to, if you're trying to negotiate with anything, yeah, attacking is not going to work.
Yeah.
I always use the inner critic because everybody says, shut the inner critic up, don't listen, put it back in its box, yeah? Don't do that.
Yeah.
Because if the critic's saying you're shit, you're never going to amount to nothing because it's scared that you're going to feel shame if you do that thing, don't tell it to shut up. Like, the first thing you would do negotiating with that person is go, listen, what's the matter? Well, listen, we're not going to do that. I'm going to keep telling that child it's shit and all that. Why are you doing that? Well, because if we do that, then we'll get hurt. Why do you think we'll get hurt? Well, because then what you realize is these parts of yourself they still think you're a kid in that. And then you slowly start to learn that you can be with all of these parts, man, when you compassionately do it. That's the big difference.
Amazing.
But that's how you can start to listen to other people. It's by listening to yourself. When Josh says to me I should take a holiday, why is it fucking irritating me a bit? Right? I'm irritated, right? You should start at the first place, right? Josh keeps saying go away. It's fucking irritating me. I'm not saying it was irritating you, but it probably was a little bit.
Yeah.
Right? It's fucking, it's activating me.
Yeah.
Why is it activating me? He's not a bad person. I know he's my friend and I know he wants the best for me. Why is it activating me? Well, it doesn't make sense that it would activate me if I'm just too busy to go on holiday. Because I'd just think, well, fucking keep saying it, Josh, I ain't going, I'm too busy. Yeah? That's where the work comes from. That's why your triggers become your best friend. Because when I'm triggered and I'm activated by something, don't get me wrong, I might trace that back and find out that I'm triggered because the person in front of me is being a dick and I'm triggered because I need to motivate to make change, yeah? Or I'm triggered because a part of me is fearful about what they're trying to present to me.
So useful. Because I think, our listeners will definitely be able to point to their own versions of what I went through, right?
Yeah.
It isn't about the holiday. It isn't about what it was. It's about what I was experiencing when you were coming at me and I was shutting you down.
Yeah.
And we all need to start with ourselves to be able to listen better.
Yeah.
And understand what's happening.
Yeah. Yeah. And you have to go through, normally, you have to go through a bit of fire to get to that other side. What feels like the most difficult path is normally the right one.
Yeah.
The path, do you know what I mean? That I'm going to really butcher this, but I always hear the story about, I don't know why they're matches. There's all matches that are all over this side of a fire, right? And there's a fire, and the other side of the fire, there's all these other, looks like a heavenly place. It looks amazing over there. But all these all these matches are just stood on one side of the fire and it's cold and it's shit and they're all just stood around just getting through, right? And one match thinks, fuck it, I'm going to try and jump through that fire and go over there, right? And he runs up to the fire and he jumps through it, rolls over the other side and he gets up and he's a little bit disheveled and he's a couple of little brown bits where the fire's got him, but he's all right. And he gets up and he's screaming at the people on the other side. It's just, all you got to do is just jump through. Just jump through. And most of them stay there because they're too scared to just do that bit where you jump through the fire. And that's the self-work, man. For me, the self-work is when you really look at yourself, you ain't going to fucking like what you see. We talked about it earlier. Would you rather people see your internet history or how you thought, how you think? Every person on this planet is doing, thinking, or behaving in some way that they don't want the whole world to find out. There's nobody on the planet that's no, I'll share every single...
Yeah.
No way.
Open me up.
Even if it's just a thought, we're all having it because you think, fuck me, man. If people knew I thought that, they'd want me dead.
Yeah.
Yeah? We all have that. And that's why looking at yourself is difficult, man.
Yeah.
And we're not prepared to do it. And we all have our different ways of doing it, my biggest thing that I hide behind now is being the leader in knowing all this stuff. Yeah. Even now, there's a bit of me that's come out to make sure that I lead this part of the conversation so that it's quite focused on you and your misgivings and all of that, so that we don't go too much into me, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm protecting myself. I'm still protecting myself. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
so it's always there, man.
Yeah. Brilliant, man. I think that was a great conversation.
Mate, I fucking enjoyed that today.
Because we didn't talk about you. So next time, we've got a really fun thing. We're going to have a guest on. We're going to have the brilliant Ben Lindsay, who's the CEO of Power to Fight.
Yeah, my mate.
My real mate. But look forward to that. See you next time.
Thank you.